have this moment to share my thoughts with all the hundreds, if not thousands of delegates on this call. I make a living communicating. So just like many of you, my life was, changed irrevocably at the middle of March, because I went from talking to people live, just as you went from engaging with folks live, to having to do everything online, just like I'm doing it now. So this is more than just a minor miracle. Here I am talking to you. You are in my house, right? So this is a very intimate moment, and I'm probably in your house. I'm certainly in Carlton's laundry room, and I can feel the intimacy of Carlton from, however many kilometers away. So really the theme of my talk with you today is, yes, it's about how do you become a super virtual persuader and how do you build virtual charisma, but even more importantly, it's how do you project your humanity, your authenticity, and your warmth through a webcam onto somebody else's laptop or onto their phone, and really have them feel your emotion, have them benefit from your insights, and most importantly, having them being galvanized into action. So as I walk you through these 10 secrets to becoming a super virtual persuader over the next few minutes, I want you to remember head, heart, hands. So in terms of the head, I'm going to talk to you about what you need to understand, the concepts, the techniques, and the strategies. In terms of your heart, I'm going to get you excited by the impact that you can have. And in terms of your hands, I'm going to motivate you to actually do something about what it is that you experience, not just in this seminar, but throughout the next couple of days, because everyone on this call is really an activist. We're all in the business of activating others to do things they wouldn't have done before. So let me go to my first slide in terms of what it actually means to be a super virtual persuader. And by the way, don't worry if you can see this clearly, or if I get in front of the slide every now and then. All of these slides will be put onto the website, and you can do with them whatever you want. I just want you to pay it forward. So let's talk a little bit about what is a super virtual persuader. Well, it's someone that motivates others online to take action because they believe it will help them get what they want. So if you're going to be a great persuader or a great motivator or a great communicator, it's not about what you want. It's about you becoming a conduit, a channel, a way for other people to get what they want. So my dream, my mission is that when people see me walking towards them, I want them to see a walking delivery mechanism of their dream. I want them to see Mike Lipkin and then their dream happening real time. And that's my mission, to help people live the dream. And by the way, I want to do that because it's genuinely what drives me, but I can also tell you it is extremely lucrative. So even though this is all happening online, I want you in every conversation that you have over the next couple of days, and then the next couple of weeks, and then the next couple of months, always ask yourself, what does the other person want, and how can I be the one that gives it to them? So look, here's a question I just want you to think about, and that is, how have you adapted to virtual communication? Are you thriving on virtual communication, or are you struggling with virtual communication? Because I will tell you, in the last 5 months, I've amazed myself in terms of how far I've come and how far I've gone. Even this whole setup, this is a 55-inch Samsung that I converted into my presentation monitor. It's all controlled through an iPad, through Apple TV. And by the way, all of this can be set up for under $1,000. And if your living depends on being remarkable, then access all the technology available to you. So over the next couple of days, just share how you've adapted and coach other people on how they can adapt. So look, let's now go through what I've called the 10 secrets to becoming a super virtual persuader. And I use the word secret because the meaning of the word secret is information that very few people have, but that many people desire. And so all of you on this call, you're in the business of giving people what they want, giving them what they desire, because you've got understandings, you've got knowledge, you've got techniques that very few other people have. So the very first step before you get in front of a webcam is you need to pre-inspire yourself. Hopefully you can tell that I'm pretty stoked, that I'm pretty amped to be with you today. So before I get in front of the camera, I move, right? This whole program is all about moving. It's about breathing. It's about chanting. I have a chant, by the way, that I say, "Oh Lord, grant me the power of divine speech." That's just my mantra that I've been repeating to myself for the last 20 years, because I want to channel my higher spirit and give it to you. Number two, I want to read and watch and listen to people who really inspire me. So I watch folks like Ed Milet, T.D. Jakes, Grant Cardone, amongst others, and I'm discovering new folks all the time, so that when I'm getting up here, I'm channeling my inner champion. And then finally, most importantly, I am visualizing my impact. So I'm looking at this webcam. I see that officially we've got around about 600 registered. I know there are many people who might be watching from the same venue, but I'm seeing myself talking to all of you. I'm seeing all of you getting excited. I'm seeing all of you responding. It's just like we were at some big ballroom and I could see all of you in front of me. The one power that everyone in this room has is the power of imagination, and we now need to use that more than ever before. So let's go to the second secret to becoming a super virtual persuader, and that is light yourself up. So you cannot see it right now, but I've got bright light shining on me, but also I've got a bright light shining from me. So make sure, and this is so basic, that when you're in front of a webcam, light yourself up. If you're going to err on the side of being too bright versus not bright enough. This is a very simple technique that most people don't get right. Number two, make sure that you are lit up from the inside. Show yourself from the upper waist. So just where I am here, just above your belt line, because when you're in a live meeting with people, you don't just see their talking heads, right? You see more of them. And as you can tell, I'm a pretty expressive kind of guy. So I want you to see that I'm using everything I can to simulate a real live experience. And then finally, look directly at the webcam. One of the mistakes people make is that, they've got multiple screens. They're looking at that screen when someone's looking at them, or they're looking at someone's face as opposed to looking at the webcam. The rule of thumb is that when you're talking, look directly into the webcam. When the other person is talking, you can look directly at them. Get into that habit. Initially, anyway, it can seem to be a little counterintuitive, but as I'm going to share with you during the course of this talk, you've got to practice, 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 not to become perfect, but to become proficient. Every day, you can take yourself in a new direction, one learning at a time. Okay, let's look at number three. One of the big mistakes that folks make is that they don't have a specific purpose to their message. They don't have a specific headline to their message. It's like if you buy a newspaper, right? The newspaper has always got a headline, and that's what makes us buy the newspaper. So when you present, no matter what it is, let people know the experience they're about to have. And maybe that headline is literal, like a headline on a slide, or maybe you need to articulate the kind of experience people are going to have, but don't leave them hanging. Make sure they know exactly what they've signed up for. And by the way, the number one commodity that we're all in competition for is other people's time. And we've got to know exactly what we're going to get for that time before we give it to anyone. So earn the right to be heard. There's so much noise out there. I am deeply appreciative of the time that you're giving me right now, because I know how many other things you could be achieving with your time. Number two, focus on what the other person wants. Repetition is the mother of learning. That's why I keep coming back to repeat, 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 repeat. And then finally, communicate your core benefit. So right up front, what I shared with you is I am the individual that helps other people achieve, live, and then keep their dream. That's my core benefit. And everything that I do feeds into that benefit. And what amazes me is how many people, when I ask them what their core benefit is, they struggle to tell me. So now would be a good time to be able to communicate to others what your core benefit is in 30 seconds or less. All right, number four is critical. If there's a rule of thumb in the age of virtual communication is, and I'm going to start with point three here, you want to keep it tight. You want to move probably twice as fast as you would normally move if you had the benefit of face to face. So you've got to have a clear narrative. That's why I have these slides. And by the way, that's why these slides are behind me. They're not on the screen, and I'm not just a little thumbnail, because I want to be the show here, not the slides, but the slides give me structure. So when you are planning a message, when you're planning a class, when you're planning a performance, make sure that there's a specific series of steps and people understand this disciplined process that you are taking them through. And by the way, if you're telling a story, open with what you're going to tell them. Get through your story and then close on a high. And that close has always got to have a call to action, as we will see in a moment. All right. If you are going to use visuals, then dramatize your data. Make your visuals bright and exciting. So I love the idea of everyday superheroes. In fact, I love the idea of being in front of you, because this is the Mike Lipkin morning TV show, which is part of this great Canfit Pro historic virtual conference. But I feel like I'm my own version of Oprah or Dr. Phil. So what I'm endeavoring to do is to create a color, to create a difference, and you've got to think about what can you do from a visual standpoint to really bring everything to life. So, make it topical. Tell stories that have happened that day. So the cool thing about this is that it's happening live. I'm talking about Canfit Pro. And by the way, let me also add my thanks to Matrix for making this conversation happen. My children, thank you, seriously. You want to sharpen your visual appeal. So when you get in front of people, make sure that visually you are somebody that they want to look at, right? And, do whatever it takes to make that happen. And then finally, be single-minded in your message. So I'm going to come back to you again and say that my message today is to help you achieve and to live and to keep the dream. Okay, so let's go now to a critical statement. Now, this might be the most challenging one for all of us, and that is to animate your style. Now, I imagine that if you're on this call and you're used to getting in front of people and you're used to moving, you're probably pretty animated and energized anyway. So this might be one where I'm talking to the converted, but there's always a way to take yourself to a whole new level. So I talk about animate your style. Number one, act your role. So I am being authentic with you right now, but at the same time, I'm dialing myself all the way up. I'm an actor here, and the act or the role that I'm playing is Mr. Motivational Speaker who has the privilege of launching this historic event. So whenever you are in front of a webcam, remember that's your own personality reality show. You want to understand who do you need to be in that moment, and you can act and be authentic at the same time. Those of you who know me know this is who I am. I'm just dialing it all the way up for the purpose of this message. Number two, energize your delivery. Again, this is what you do on any given day, but you cannot over-exaggerate when you're on a webcam, because remember, you think that people are seeing you in terms of where you are, but by the time you are processed through the webcam, by the time you cross through the Ethernet, by the time you get onto somebody else's phone or somebody else's laptop or somebody else's desktop, you are muted down. So you want to really over-exaggerate, because then the other person will get you the way you want to be gotten. And then finally, turn up your volume. So I am talking to you now about 20 to 25% louder than I would usually speak for three reasons. Number one, when I talk like this, I feel confident. Number two, when I talk like this, I cannot mumble my words. And number three, most importantly, I come across as authoritative to you. So make a habit of talking louder than you would normally talk when you are communicating through the webcam. Okay. So now we get to the seventh secret. And so far, I've been talking about how do you deliver the message? How do you channel the communication? But now let's talk about how you actually listen. Because as the old adage says, we're given 2 ears, 1 mouth. We should listen twice as much as we speak. And that really is my usual practice. But right now, Mo is paying me by the word, so I'm getting as many words as I can in the time that I've been allocated. Just joking, by the way. So you want to listen like you mean it. I want you to watch folks when they're on a video conference call. Just look at the thumbnails in front of you, or even if someone has got a full picture in front of you, the vast majority of people do not look interested. You know, some of them don't even put their cameras on, right? And then even when they're looking at the camera, you can see that they are multitasking, or they are tired, or you can kind of read on their face that they'd rather be anywhere but where they are. So if all you do when you are in front of a video camera, or when you are in front of a webcam, is look like you really want to be there, that alone will motivate the other person to say more and give more and commit more. Look, of all the things that I can share with you today, this may be the most important, right? So whatever you're doing right now, I just want you to pause. I want you to listen to this statement. I cannot say anything more profound. The way you listen to others becomes their opinion of themselves. Let me just repeat that. The way you listen to others becomes their opinion of themselves. So if you listen to others like they're interesting, like they're valuable, like they're unique, like they're fascinating, then that becomes their opinion of themselves. So start practicing that right now. So let me give you the other 2 points. I've spoken about looking interested. You want to ask questions. Whoever is asking questions is controlling the conversation. Number one. Number two, if I ask you a question and you give me an answer, you're going to believe the answer because it's your answer. Whereas if I tell you what to do, maybe you'll do it, maybe you won't. So you want to be asking questions that the other person can then own. And by the way, we judge people not from their answers, we judge them from the questions that they ask. And I will tell you, in the world of sales, there's something called the challenger sale. And challenger salespeople are the kind of people who, through their questions, challenge other people's mindset. And so you know you're challenging other people's mindset when you get this response. I never thought of it that way before. Or, no one's ever asked me that question before. That's what you and I need to do, because we're living in a whole new reality, and we need people who need to shake us up and animate and motivate us to get there. And then finally, repeat and replay. So this is a very simple but yet very powerful technique that really will bond you to other people and motivate them to want to tell you more. How does it work? Well, if you tell me that this is a very challenging time for you, if you say, well, Mike, I'm going through a challenging time because business is tough, then the way I will respond to you is I say, I understand that you're going through a challenging time because business is tough. And so I've just repeated what they've said to me. What does that mean? It means they know that I've heard them. But then I replay what they've said in my words, and I go, and even though business is tough, it is rich with opportunity. This is your time to shine. This is your opportunity to really rise above the crowd. You were built for what's about to happen. You've got the resources, you've got the supporters, you've got the talent. All you now need is the will. And so people go, wow, he heard me, he replayed it, and then obviously I say it like I mean it, and then they go and take action. But your ability to listen is absolutely crucial. Okay, so let's now look at number 8. And look, number eight is always going to happen. And I don't want to put a kibosh on what's going to happen over the next couple of days, but we know there's going to be some kind of issue somewhere. As prepared as you can possibly be, there's always the gods of the internet that might decide not to play ball, right? It was John Lennon who said, life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. So something at some point is not going to go the way you want it to go. And that's when you need to recover remarkably. And by the way, this is not just a commentary on presentations. This is not just adapting to the next slide. This is a philosophy of life. You know, we call it resilience. We call it coming back from a challenging moment. And you will be evaluated by your stakeholders, not in terms of how well you do the easy things, but on how effectively you recover from the really challenging moments. So 3 secrets to bear in mind as I walk you through them. Number 1, keep your composure. You know, I will tell you that my most scary moment over the last 5 months was I was in front of 350 high-powered healthcare salespeople. And I hadn't yet got to the level of confidence where I could just talk directly to the webcam. My content was fresh. I hadn't yet mastered the medium. And so I had this very fancy teleprompter. And I had spent hours creating a speech, and I timed the speech exactly to the 30 minutes that I had for the call. And everything was going perfectly until halfway through the presentation, where I had something called a malfunction, and my laptop went black. So now I was confronted with, what do I do? I had notes, but I couldn't read the notes. I couldn't read the teleprompter. I didn't know what my next 5 points were. So as Carlton led off with, necessity forced me to ad-lib. Necessity forced me to be authentic. Now, what I also did is I shared with the audience what had just happened. I said, look, just so you know, the reason why I'm hesitating is my teleprompter has gone blank. So just bear with me as I walk you through the next 5 points. But then what I also said is, this is a great opportunity for me to take myself to a whole new level. So that is the mindset you need when you encounter some kind of snafu or setback. Keep your composure, make light of it, right? You know, to you, it might be a disaster. To the other person, it's not even on their radar. You know, someone once said to me, if you knew how little time other people spend thinking about you, you wouldn't worry what they think about you. You are not at the center of other people's universes. They are. So make light of it. People want to hang with people who can find the comedy in the tragedy. And God knows there are more serious things out there than your technology not working in your presentation. But then finally, and this is the hallmark of champions, focus on the next point. You know, the only pitch that matters is the next pitch. The only game that matters is the next game. The only workout that matters is the next workout. So hold on to something just as long as you can learn something from it, and then let it go and move forward. Let go of that baggage. Let go of who you were, and then you will become who you want to be. And right now, I can tell you there are a whole lot of people who's still looking back at pre-March 2020, and they think that maybe that reality will re-manifest itself. Well, I'm here to share with you, this is a whole nother environment. My life as I know it began on March 13, 2020, and who knows where it goes from here, but I know one thing's for certain, the future ain't nothing like the past. So recover remarkably. Okay, so let's look at the second last point over here. And this is what it's all about, and this is where so many people, you know, fall short. Follow up, right? You do all the hard work up front. You do a fantastic presentation. You get the other person excited, but then after the excitement of the call, after the excitement of the presentation, after the bonding of a great conversation, someone's got to step up and someone's got to follow through. And so what I would say to all of you is, no matter what the process, no matter what the moment, take 100% responsibility for making something happen exactly the way it's supposed to happen. You know, every time I work with Mo, I know it's going to happen exactly the way it's going to happen, because if there's one person who's more obsessed about making things happen the right way than me, it's Mighty Mo, right? Number two, ask for guidance. Right, so, you know, get feedback, but ask for guidance as well. So yesterday, I did a program. There were 5,000 people on the call, and immediately after the program was over, even though I know we're going to send out a survey, I called the 3 most senior clients, and I go, so how do you think it went? If you were me, what would you do differently? What's one thing that I could take away from this, from your point of view, that would help me make it better next time? Look, I got to tell you, I've been doing this work now for close on 27 years, and I've never, ever met someone who was offended because I asked them for their guidance, because I said their opinion is so important, so valuable to me that I need it in order to grow myself to the next level. And then finally, you know, acknowledge and appreciate. When someone gives you their time in this environment, they're giving you the most precious thing they can, that time. They cannot get that time back. So you want to appreciate that time. You want to acknowledge that time. And by the way, the word appreciate doesn't just mean to express gratitude for, it means to increase the value of. So when I say my car is appreciating, it means maybe I've got a 1963 Porsche, and every day that goes by, you know, the value increases. I don't, by the way, but if I did, that's what would be happening. Okay, So look, let me now wrap up with the final message around what it takes to become a super virtual persuader. Now, this is number 10. And there's a reason why the first 9 points lead to number 10, because number 10 is about practice, practice, practice. But I'm not just talking about mindless practice, by the way. And I'm not talking about something you do Monday to Friday for the big event on the weekend. I'm saying that in every single conversation, you want to practice becoming better. So right now, this is as big as an event that I can get involved in. And even as I'm talking to you, I'm using a different technique to the technique I used yesterday. Yesterday, I was sitting, I was obscuring part of the screen. Now I'm standing, I'm moving around. I'm allowing you to see the screen clean every now and then. So there are a whole range of experimentations that I'm applying in this call. And while I'm giving this call everything I can, I'm also preparing with this call to be even better in the next call. Now, I want you to see something. There are many people on this call I know who might be perfectionists. You might be obsessed with getting it absolutely perfect. Well, in this environment, there's no such thing as perfect, because today's perfect is tomorrow's amateurish, right? Because so much is happening so fast, and your learning curve is so massive, and the technology is evolving on a day-by-day basis. And as you do better, you can afford even more technology. So I will tell you, because I'm not eating in restaurants, because I'm not going on vacation, because I don't even have to wear shoes anymore, although I will tell you I am wearing pants, just so you know, but I'm taking all that revenue and I'm putting it into technology, because this is where I'm going to get the greatest return. And if you come and hear me next week or a month later, I'll certainly be better than I am today. So don't be perfect enough for this moment. Okay. So let me wrap with the final 3 points, and that is find your role models. So there might be people in your organization, there might be people in your community, there might be colleagues and customers, there might be media figures. Find people whose style really approximates yours. So as I shared with you, there's a great speaker down in Texas, his name is T.D. Jakes. There's another great speaker called Ed Milet. There's another great speaker called Eric Thomas, who you may know. There's another great speaker, Grant Cardone. You know, these are just a few of the folks that I follow because their style is similar to mine. I watch what they do, I experiment with their approaches, and I either make it mine or I discard it. All around you, there are people who have what you need. All around you, there are people who represent the future that you want to be. Find them, and then you become a role model so other people can study you. Number 2, I've spoken about this throughout this presentation, own your stage, right? So you know this as much as anyone does. When you're on that platform and you've got those folks around you, whether it's live or whether it's virtual, you want to own that stage. You want folks to feel really excited being in the same proximity as you. You know, strut up and down like your own version of Mick Jagger, who, by the way, is my hero. You know, from the face up, he's like about 100. From the neck down, he's like 25. But boy, no one moves like Jagger, right? And then finally, make every meeting count. So, you know, this is the ultimate marquee meeting. But I will tell you, there's an ancient Japanese idiom that says, ichigo ichie. And what that means is one life, one meeting. And what that really means is every meeting only happens one time in a lifetime. So in the Japanese culture, when 2 business people meet each other for the first time, they have what's known as the tea ceremony. And they pour each other tea, but not just in any way. They pour it with the care, with the respect, with the affection, and with the commitment that's going to characterize that relationship from that point forward. And so every meeting is literally a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This meeting never, ever, ever happens again. So if you want another meeting, make this meeting count. You know, I've been lucky because as I look at Colton and I look at Pat and I look at Mo, we've done many programs together over the years. I've trained them to expect me to be like this. And they've trained me to expect them to be the way they've been. So remember this, in every meeting, we train people how to expect us to be in the next meeting. So if you want to build a great business, if you want to keep people coming back, if you want to keep people wanting to be with you as opposed to having to be with you, you've got to make every single meeting count. So look, let's wrap it all up, and then I'm going to leave you to really practice this over the next couple of days. So number one, pre-inspire yourself. Number two, light yourself up. Number three, headline your message. Number four, build a clear narrative. Number five, dramatize your data. Number six, animate your style. Number seven, listen like you mean it. Number eight, recover remarkably. Number nine, follow up. And number 10, practice becoming proficient, not perfect. This is Mike Lipkin, and I approve this message. Over to you, Mo and Patch and Carlton. Thank you very much for the privilege of giving me this platform to reach all your delegates.
Mike, that was awesome, and I approve your message.
I approve your message.
It was a great meeting, and it was well worth my time.
Thank you, Patch.
So much.
Oh, you see, by the way, what Patch just did, and he's nothing if not a keen student. He repeated what I said, then he replayed it in his own words, then he acknowledged and he appreciated. And now, Patch, I got to tell you, I feel even more validated.
You did great. Thank you. You're awesome.
That was amazing, Mike. I feel the word thanks are so amateurish to describe what you just did. You probably broke the chat because you were inspiring so many people. I can tell you, we met over 10 years ago, and I went from being a fan to being fanatical about your energy, your enthusiasm, and your passion. And it was those many years ago where I realized it is not the responsibility of my audience to remember what I say. It is my job to be unforgettable.